Cocoa Beach is your ultimate Florida beach vacation. Pack your bags and open your mind. Adventure is calling from Orlando's closest beach. Cocoa Beach is Florida's secret gem that's got it all. It's the budget-friendly, retro-cool destination that families and surfers adore. Come soak up the sun and ride the East Coast's most famous waves. Start planning your one-of-a-kind getaway now at visitspacecoast.com. That's visitspacecoast.com.
Hello and welcome to History for Weirdos.
We're your hosts, Andrew
and Stephanie.
And each week, we're going to take you on a journey into the strange, obscure, and relentlessly entertaining corners of human history.
Now listen up, friends, because it's about to get weird.
What is going on, Weirdos? Welcome to episode 61 of the History for Weirdos podcast.
We hope you're all doing well, that if you're driving, the traffic's not too bad. If you're doing dishes, that's not too bad, I guess.
We know it's going to be bad, but hope it's not too bad.
Yeah, we're here to help.
We're here to help.
We're here to make it less irritable.
Irritable, yeah. And if you're driving in Los Angeles, yeah, it's going to be, the traffic's going to be bad. And
no matter what.
Yeah.
But we've been there with you, so.
Yeah, we're going to fight on with that. So, before we get the show started, I wanted to give a recommendation of mine. So, I've been watching this show on Netflix, and no, this isn't like a sponsored ad or anything. But I've been watching the show, and it's called Troy, I think, Fall of a City.
Okay. And
it shows the perspective of Paris in, basically the Iliad by Homer. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically set in the late Bronze Age where the city of Troy falls to the Greeks after a 10-year war. And it's definitely very mythical. There is like an actual like historical Trojan War, but we know nothing about it. We just know that Troy did fall around this time. But the story of like the Iliad is 100% myth. Anyways, that's enough of my rambling. And I know Stephanie has a recommendation as well.
I wanted to recommend, for anyone who has not seen it, I think it's a good spooky season movie, Crimson Peak, with Tom Hiddleston, and I actually don't know the name of the female protagonist, but it was a really good show. Movie. It's super gothic, Victorian, spooky ghosts, horror, love, trauma. It's really cool.
It has it all.
It has it all. It has everything. I highly recommend it. It's not like the best movie ever, but it was really, I would say it was really interesting to watch.
It really was. I think it had a great cinematography. The story was pretty decent. And Tom Hiddleston, Jessica Chastain.
Oh, Jessica Chastain.
But she wasn't the lead.
No.
Yeah, but she was in it. So I mean, like a solid cast, and like honestly, it wasn't too scary. Like Stephanie is a huge like weenie when it comes to scary movies.
Yeah, I can confirm I'm a weenie.
And even she wasn't scared.
Yeah. And I'll just briefly say the premise is basically this young, bright, but, possibly a little naive woman in America falls in love with a baronet.
A baronet.
And he takes her back to his home, and it's known as Crimson Peak, and spookiness ensues.
Lots of spookiness.
There's a lot of secrets in the family that she uncovers while she's there.
Dun, dun, dun!
Yeah. So those are our recommendations to you all for the week. And, and follow us on Instagram.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, please follow us on Instagram if you haven't already. Most of you probably have if you're listening to this episode. Yeah. And we thank you if you have already. Yeah,
thank you all so much.
And I'm sorry. Were you going to say something?
No, just that it's a good spot to connect with us.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So, sorry, Steph. Without further ado, though, I'm going to hand it right back to you because I believe it is your turn to tell us a spooky tale.
Could you imagine if, neither of us wrote an episode for the week? I thought it was your week.
So this is awkward, guys. Hello, my baby. Hello, my daughter.
Yeah, we would just improv sing for you all. And nobody wants that.
No one wants that, no.
So for this week, I am keeping with the October theme of, this is more than spooky. This is dark.
Ooh, snap.
But I think it's fitting for the season. It is the Villisca axe murders.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that in and of itself is your content warning that this involves violence and murder.
And if you don't like that, you should probably just skip the episode, I guess.
I would skip it. It also does involve, unfortunately, young people, so just keep that in mind. But what I will say, I'm not going to go into any like gory detail at all. Just the circumstances of these murders, super interesting, very weird, perfect for the podcast. And then there's a lot of things after that I'm going to share as well.
Ooh, ramifications?
No.
Lovely.
Really good guess, but no. So we'll start off.
I like it. You're just like, no. Anyways, moving on. You dummy.
I'm sorry. So we'll start off in 1903.
Okay.
Where a man by the name of Josiah B. Moore, unfortunately, like, be more, right?
Yeah, just be more. Be more of a
Josiah.
person. Yeah.
He purchased a 3-bedroom farmhouse in the town of Villisca, and that is how everyone was pronouncing it on the interwebs. So that's how I'm going to pronounce it. It's Villisca, Iowa, for himself, his wife Sarah, and their 4 children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul. Villisca was a community that was really like prospering at the time. It had about 2,000 residents, but it had like a lot of businesses opening due to this train station where lots of trains came through.
Oh, so like a lot of like travel, commerce, probably going through that town.
Exactly. Everyone was really excited about the train.
Nice.
And by all accounts, the Moore family were very quote unquote normal. They were well liked and tight knit. They were respected in their community. And Josiah was a prominent businessman and a well-known church worker, is what they called him. I don't know if he worked or volunteered at the church. So this flourishing community was doing great, but it would be totally changed by what is going to happen in this episode, which happens on June 10th, 1912. So we're going to fast forward to June 9th, 1912.
Oh, snap. Okay, let's do it.
So after attending a special church service for children, like they did like a special kids day or something at the church, but the service was held at night, the Moore family, along with 2 visiting girls, headed home. Just like normal. Like they did every Sunday. The only thing different was that they had these 2 other girls with them. The 2 girls were Lena and Ina Stillinger, and they were the daughters of a wealthy farmer who last minute allowed the girls to spend the night at the Moore house. They were friends with the eldest daughter of the Moore family, Catherine. So they were all at church together. Last minute, the little girls are like, oh, can we sleep over? And the parents were like, sure, go for it. Which is so interesting. I didn't think people in like 1912 had sleepovers. I
know. I guess not either.
When you're in a Mexican home, you never have sleepovers, even in 2022, I bet. So I was like, what? They were allowed to have sleepovers?
I mean, I definitely had sleepovers, but I also didn't live in 1912, so.
That just seemed like, I don't know, that's just not in like period pieces or stories that you hear of this time. I guess we focus so little on children in general. I never thought of little kids having sleepovers, so that really stuck out to me for some reason.
Interesting, okay.
So, early the next morning, on June 10th, at about 5 a.m., the Moore's neighbor, Mary Peckham, was out and about doing her chores. She was like putting clothes up on the liner or something.
Okay.
By about 7 a.m., she was concerned when she did not see the Moores out doing their morning chores like they normally did.
Right.
They would normally see each other every morning.
Okay.
The Moores it's a small farmhouse. They did have horses and chickens, and they would have needed catering to by 7 a.m.
Right.
So according to Mary, something fell off, and she knocked on the door. There was no answer. She tried to open the door and just let herself in, but it was locked. And so Mary called Josiah's brother, Ross, who came over. And similarly, he had no luck with like knocking or yelling or trying to get into the house anyway. Okay. So they ended up having to call the town marshal to break down the door.
Okay.
Unfortunately, when they stepped inside, they found a truly horrific scene. And it was his brother who stepped inside.
Oh, man.
Ross went into the downstairs bedroom first, and he found the bodies of Lena and Ina Stillinger in bed.
And those are the friends, like
the little girls, yeah,
my
from
God.
the other family.
Okay.
The two girls had apparently been murdered with an axe.
Oh, jeez.
A quote from the local paper that originally reported on the crime said that the crime scene was, quote, a spectacle so repulsive it was almost beyond comprehension that 6 more victims, murdered in identically the same fashion, lay in the 2 bedrooms upstairs.
Oh, my God.
That previous night, all 8 people in the home were murdered, and not a single witness heard or saw anything.
Okay, so it wasn't like one person went psycho and killed them all and killed them. It's everyone got murdered.
Everyone was murdered. Mm-hmm. So, as mentioned, all victims were murdered with an axe. This is called the Villisca axe murders. Mm-hmm. And 7 of them appear to have been murdered in their sleep. But the 8th victim, Lena Stillinger, is the only victim who authorities thought put up a fight based on the way her body lay when they found her, and she had defensive wounds on one of her arms. And there are many weird details to this, so I'm just going to get into the weird details.
Nice. We are a history for weirdos, after all.
Yeah, it was perfect. The killer also left some confusing touches at the murder scene, Investigators found a 2-pound slab of bacon.
That's a lot of bacon.
It's a lot of bacon. Some accounts that I found said 4 pounds, but I was like, I'm going to go with 2. And then here I am saying 4.
2 or 4.
2 to 4 pounds of bacon leaning against the wall next to the axe that was used to commit the crimes.
Oh my God, so they left the murder weapon there.
They left the murder weapon
there. Oh, there's no
there.
fingerprints, so it's like whatever.
Yeah. This was found, the bacon with the axe was found in that downstairs bedroom with the 2 visiting girls.
Oh, in the same room?
In the same room as them.
Jeez.
The murderer also had searched the dresser drawers for pieces of clothing, and he used, I'm assuming it's a he, used that clothing to cover the mirrors in the house, and any glass in like the entryway doors. You know how some doors have little glass in them? He used clothing to cover those things.
Strange.
Officials also found a plate of uneaten food and a bowl of bloody water in the kitchen. So it looked like after committing the murders, he made himself food, but then didn't eat it.
That is strange.
Mm-hmm. Nothing else was disturbed in the home, and nothing appeared to have been taken from the home.
Okay.
Josiah, who is the dad,
mm-hmm.
was the only victim murdered with the sharp edge of the axe.
Whoa.
The other victims appeared to have been bludgeoned with the blunt end of the axe.
That is so weird.
Isn't that so chilling for some reason?
Also, how can you murder someone and then the person in the same room doesn't wake up? Mm-hmm. Especially if it's not quick.
That's what I thought was weird too. And I'd say, this is actually a pretty infamous case. So there were different forums even where people were talking about it. And not a ton of people had that. People did have that question, just not as many as I thought. I was like, how did no one hear anything?
Right. And
so this is a source that I'll get to at the end again, but I watched videos of the home, mm-hmm. and it's a 1903 home.
Oh,
it's
the home still stands?
Yeah, it's really small. Yes, it is a 3-bedroom home and everything. It's a nice home, but it's small and really creaky. I just thought that was so weird that no one would hear anything and stay asleep.
Right. And I was like, maybe the TV's on really loud. They didn't even have TV back then.
No, it's not the TV.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, even more unfortunate on top of this, because it was 1912, once word got out about the 8 murdered victims, the crime scene was full of Villisca residents. About 100
my
residents
God.
walked through with the permission of the marshal.
Jeez.
About 3 hours after the bodies were discovered, the National Guard had to finally arrive to secure the crime scene because it actually became like a mob of people.
That's insane. Holy hell. Like, I mean, the fact that the cops, like, were, like, not only, like, didn't even, like, shy away people from the crime scene, but were like, yeah, come on in.
Come on in. Why would people want to see that, though? Why would people...
Maybe because it's a small town, like, nothing really exciting happens. Like, especially it's 1912. And then,
But
like,
how horrifying, too, to...
I don't know, it's like a train wreck. You, like, can't not see it or something.
Yeah, like the morbid curiosity of it.
Right, that's my only guess.
I thought that was so strange as well.
Yeah.
So regarding the motives for the murders, it was completely unclear because, again, nothing was stolen from the home, and everyone in town kept insisting that there was no grudge against the Moores or the Stillingers. The main lead suspect was a man by the name of Reverend Lynn George Jacqueline Kelly.
Wow, that is a long name.
Yes. He left Villisca on a train the morning after the murders, the morning the bodies were discovered.
Yeah.
And allegedly was telling passengers about 8 dead souls in Villisca who were butchered in their beds. But the problem?
Yeah.
The bodies hadn't been discovered by the time he left.
Oh, so he was the one who did it.
That's what everyone thought, yeah. He even signed a confession months later saying that God whispered to him, and it doesn't make sense, so I'll just quote it. He whispered to him, quote, "Suffer the children to come unto me," end quote. He recanted his confession.
Unsurprising, yeah.
At trial, and the jury deadlocked. 11-1 for acquittal, according to the Iowa cold cases, historical documents.
Right.
A second jury also acquitted him in November. So he was free after that.
Oh my God.
2 other male suspects were investigated, but they were never brought to trial. And during this time, the town was reportedly just hysterical with paranoia, and people constantly were gossiping and pointing fingers at each other.
Yeah, so, like, what would happen today, basically?
Yes. Basically, humans are the same.
Yeah.
They're super annoying. 9 months before the murders at Villisca, interestingly enough, a similar case of axe murders occurred in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Oh, wow.
And then after Villisca, 2 axe murder cases followed in Ellsworth, Kansas, and Paola, Kansas. The cases, the cases were similar enough, and obviously this is 1912, so
like there was no FBI or anything like that.
Yeah, that's true. What I was going to say is I think, unfortunately, violence stood out to people more than it does to us today.
Oh, that too, yeah.
So news did spread, and people were like, whoa, this is really similar. And people were thinking, like, was this the same person? But this, as you stated, this is the time before the FBI. This is the time before we even have the term or the concept serial killers.
Right.
So no one really could do anything about it.
Yeah.
They were all just kind of like, maybe it's the same person who's doing this. And to this day, the case remains infamously unsolved.
Oh my God. But, like, so, most likely candidate is this Reverend.
I think that's really strange, for sure.
I mean, the fact that he said this, and again, like...
To people, like, lots of people were like, yeah, that's what the dude told me.
Right. And if it was, especially, like, the morning before...
He was on the train before, I think, anyone got inside the house and, like, saw the bodies.
That is weird.
Yeah. Very strange. I just want to hear your thoughts on, like, all the weird details. Even though there's no evidence to this, I just think it's weird that the bacon and the axe are found in the room with the little girls who don't normally live there. I wonder if maybe
that's weird.
They're potentially targets, or their family, or if it's trying to send, like, a message or something like that.
I don't know. Like, okay, so I was thinking it was someone having, like, and maybe because I'm married to you, like, someone having, like, a mental break. Like, I mean, they went to cook themselves food after they, like, butchered a bunch of people. And, like, and it kind of, like, fits this guy's kind of, like, mantra of, like, you know, he's like, oh, God told me to kill them all.
You think he was having some sort of severe psychosis?
Yeah.
It's possible.
Again, it's kind of a stretch, but...
I mean, I just think whether there's, like, severe mental illness or not, you have to be in a very terrible place to do something like that. Right? Like, you're not... I feel like you are not in touch with your humanity. So then maybe you're just, like, mindlessly making food and then you just walk away. I don't know. I think it's a good thing. We really can't picture what this person would have been thinking. But the bacon was just weird.
That is so
But you're right,
strange.
it could have not been like a message. It could have just been, oh, I'm confused and I'm just going to leave the bacon here.
Right, like it might just be, like we might be putting importance on something that really was just like haphazard at the time.
Yeah. What about the mirrors?
That one's weird. Maybe he couldn't bring it to like look at himself or his reflection.
Yeah. Someone did point that out in one of the like comment sections I was reading, was like, you know how they always say in TV shows if the killer covers the victim's face, it means that they couldn't look at them. Like, they felt bad. Maybe he couldn't look at his own face in the mirror. And he covered them up after.
I just don't understand, like... I still, like, something that just doesn't make sense to me is the whole... Like, how could he have killed him with the blunt edge? Or blunt side. No one notices. Like, only one person is not killed in their sleep. Yeah. And then, like, why is like the rough side only for the father? Or, I'm sorry, the sharp side.
And the only person, the little girl Lena, who, like, the only one with defensive wounds, they think she was... Oh, I guess I have to bring that up. Sorry, I didn't have that in my notes here. Some people think he came into the house through removing, like, the screen on a window.
Okay, yeah.
And if that's the case, he would have entered from the ground. Yeah. And the visiting girls, their room would have been his first hit. Mm-hmm. So Lena would have been the first victim based on how they were found. And she was the only one that woke up. Like, that's weird. Right? Like, you'd think the other people would have been
like the last one or something.
Right. So there's another theory, very chilling, that he was actually hiding in their attic the entire time they were gone. And once they went to bed, he came down from the attic and went from upstairs to downstairs. Oh. And Lena was the last one. She was awake, did have defensive wounds.
That makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
Oh, that's creepy.
Chilling. And even though this case is unsolved, it's still causing some terror. So I'll share a little bit about that. After this horrible crime, other families, believe it or not, moved into that house.
No way.
But according to records, residents never lasted long. There's actually like a succession of very quick buys and sells, but there's no reason for why, obviously. Mm-hmm. And then for a little while, the house was abandoned. Today, the house stands in near pristine condition to the way that it was in 1912, and it is available to tour. And as one would imagine, there is plenty of folklore on the Villisca axe murder home being haunted. That's actually what it's called. If you look it up, there's a big sign in front of this cute little farmhouse that says Axe Murder House. Aww. June 10th, 1912.
Lovely.
What I found to be interesting, though, is that folks don't tend to claim, actually, that the house is haunted by the victims, but by the killer.
Whoa, weird. Okay.
And I'll tell you a little bit about why. So people have reported hearing, of course, disembodied voices, hearing footsteps, being scratched while they're in the home. And groups of visitors are known to turn on each other and get in arguments in the house. There was a caretaker of the home, because it's kind of like a museum. Yeah. Even the stove and the furniture and the furnishings are all from 1912. So it's kind of like a museum as well. And there is a man who is the caretaker there for the family that owns the property. And he was just closing up the house because you do tours during the day. And he was upstairs in one of the bedrooms closing a window or something. And he heard someone come in from the kitchen door, the back door. And he thought it was someone sneaking in because everyone knows you're supposed to buy tickets and go in through the front. And he thought someone was a teen trying to vandalize or even scare
just do
somebody.
Hoodlum stuff.
Yeah, just be a youth. So he wanted to teach them a lesson because he could hear their footsteps downstairs, and he hid in the closet. And he was going to spook them. He heard them come up the stairs and into the room where he was in. So he jumped out and was like, "Bah!" And there was nobody there.
Oh God, I just got chills.
Yes.
He said upon realizing it, he went cold. That no one was in the room. That's terrifying.
Totally terrifying. It's a very spooky house. I'd say the spookiest thing that happened, potentially spooky, depending on what you think happened, is in 2014. I should back this up by saying, I don't know what would behoove you to do this, weirdos. Please don't do this. You can spend the night in the house. You can pay to sleep there. It's $400.
You would have to pay me to sleep there.
People pay $400.
No, pay me and I will sleep there. Pay me $400.
I was like, people are nuts. So in 2014, a man was staying there overnight for a, quote, recreational ghost hunt.
Oh, quote.
He was there with a group of, I think, 2 other people, and they were just they're recreational ghost hunters. So these aren't people with a show or anything. They're just we going to haunted places and staying there.
Wow, okay.
And inexplicably, at about 12:45 a.m., he was found in a pool of his blood.
Oh my God.
By 2 of the other 2 people were outside. He was in a room inside, and they found him in his blood. So he was rushed to the hospital and treated, and he survived.
Okay, good.
The man said that he had entered the room, quote, with the intention of provoking the spirits. And the next thing he knew, he woke up in the ER. And according to the ER doctors, it looked like the wound was self-inflicted. He stabbed himself. I think it was kind of in between your armpit and your chest area. Oh my God,
that's a dangerous spot.
Yeah. But he swore, he's I did not stab myself. I would not do that. That's weird. I don't even remember that happening. And he actually requested, the same caretaker who told that story talked about this happened because it made national news. Once he was out and he was okay, he requested to come back to the house in the daytime, and he apologized to the spirits for pissing them off.
Oh my God.
He looked really scared, apparently. Isn't that spooky?
Yeah, I would do the same thing. Be I learned my lesson. Sorry, spirits. Mm-hmm. Sorry for provoking you and then you stabbing me, forcing me to stab me. Yeah.
Oh, yes. There's this one reference that I have. It is the BuzzFeed Unsolved Murders channel.
Oh, that's some good journalism right there.
It was a really good video. It's the video I was telling you that I was watching in chunks because I was getting scared. These 2 guys, they're really funny. I actually didn't even catch their names, the 2 hosts of the show. Mm-hmm. One is a cynic who does not believe in ghosts.
Okay.
And the other totally believes in spirits, and he has this equipment to help you
oh my God, that's like us.
Them. Yeah.
Except I'm definitely more of a believer now, 100% than I was when we first met.
No, and this guy's 100%. I do not believe this, because they go into the house at night, and the guy who is the cynic, he's the tall skinny guy. Yeah. Tall skinny guy, because I'm so sorry, I do not know their names. Please go look up their videos, though. They're really fun to watch. He's yelling in there. He's hey, fucko, you don't scare me, blah blah blah.
Oh man, no way.
And then you hear it. You really do. Stop it. Like that. Stop it. A voice. A man's voice.
Oh.
I was like sweating bullets. And then all of a sudden, Andrew's just like, hey babe, what are you doing? And I was like, ah!
Yeah.
So terrified. They both go in. I really recommend watching it because it gives you such a good idea of the home. And they also cover the case and everything. And so they walk you through like, okay, this is this room. This is where this happened. This is where they think this went down. And the home is so, again, it's so small. It's so weird to think about such intense violence happening in such a small space.
I know.
In one night. And again, without anyone in the neighbors hearing or anything.
I know. There's just so much weird stuff. Like,
it's so weird. How does the person next to you, because everyone had other people next to them, right? Mm-hmm. The 3 kids, the Moore kids, were all sleeping in one room together. The mom and dad are sleeping in one room together. And the 2 Stillinger girls are in one room together. How does the person next to you get bludgeoned and you don't hear anything? Or the person in the other room, for that matter.
Right, like...
Particularly, it was so quiet back then.
Yeah.
There's no, there's no TV.
It's not like there's a rave going on outside or something.
It's not a busy road. It's not like there's a ton of cars. I don't know.
Right. I mean, even, like, we live in LA, like in the city, and it's still, like...
You can hear cars, like, all night.
Yeah.
Not, like, constant, but you hear them.
Right. Like,
you just hear people coming home.
So I'd hear, like, someone getting bludgeoned.
Mm-hmm. So, as I mentioned, today you can tour the home during the daytime. You could book it overnight. Please don't do that. And this house is very, very infamous. If you want to look into more, apparently it's been featured on Ghost Adventures.
Wow, 2 episodes in a row.
I was thinking we should watch both of those episodes. Like, you could watch the one that you did last week.
Yeah, Povelia.
And this week's, as well as Scariest Places on Earth. And it's also been on some iconic spooky podcasts such as Lore.
Oh, wow. I had that podcast.
I've heard it's amazing, and I still need to check it out, and I do plan to check it out.
Yeah, me too.
So, over 100 years later, the Villisca axe murder house continues to scare and fascinate us. The end.
The end.
Wasn't that a nice, uplifting story?
That was such a beautiful, heartwarming story,
Thank you.
As is tradition with our podcast.
As is tradition. My sources, like I said, BuzzFeed Unsolved Murders, but I think it's like a special, like, sub-segment or series they do with these 2 guys.
Oh, it's like a special.
Yeah. But you'll see, like, ghost hunting, basically, is what these 2 do.
Yeah.
And then if you go to villiscaiowa.com, it's like the official site for the house.
Oh, okay.
And there's actually a ton of other random, like, cases of, like, what people reported in the home, right? Like, being in the room. And, of course, people photograph the house a lot. And there's very frequently, there's, like, little orbs of light everywhere and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So to learn more about the home itself, you could go there. And then the Des Moines Register, there was an article called What to Know on the Anniversary of the 1912 Villisca Axe Murders by Virginia Beretta.
Very nice.
And then Road Trippers, it's a good website, and there was an article there by Anna Hyder.
Oh.
And she visited the home herself.
Oh, very cool.
So she wrote about her experience just visiting, and she shares pictures and stuff.
Oh, very nice. Well, thank you.
I had some very good sources this week. It was really helpful because a lot of people are really interested in this house and take pictures and take video. So it helped me visualize it. I hope you all were able to visualize it a bit as well. It was scary.
It
scares me.
So you're not going to sleep tonight?
Probably not. No.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So you're going to keep me up?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool.
I think that's fair since I did the episode this week so generously.
So generously, yes. Well, thank you, listeners, for listening, and I hope you guys enjoyed the story as much as I did.
Yes.
That was actually really interesting. I'd never even heard of it before.
I had never heard of it either, and it's Iowa, which I feel like I don't know a ton about weird things that happen there.
Yeah.
So this one definitely intrigued. Even though, again, it terrified me, it also fascinated me, which is why I wanted to share it.
I know, isn't it, like, crazy? The things that terrify us fascinate us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, Weirdos. We cannot wait to connect with you again next week.
Absolutely. And until next time.
Goodbye.
Cocoa Beach is your ultimate Florida beach vacation. Pack your bags and open your mind. Adventure is calling from Orlando's closest beach. Cocoa Beach is Florida's secret gem that's got it all. It's the budget-friendly, retro-cool destination that families and surfers adore. Come soak up the sun and ride the East Coast's most famous waves. Start planning your one-of-a-kind getaway now at visitspacecoast.com. That's visitspacecoast.com.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.